you ever found yourself wondering what kind of cosmic support might actually be available to humanity, on its journey? Or how galactic forces might, well, intervene in things down here on Earth?
It's a big question.
It is. And today we're taking a deep dive into something, well, pretty extraordinary. Excerpts from the Ashtar Command, a message of liberation.
Right. So our source material for this deep dive, it's a channeled message. It supposedly comes from a group of beings. They call themselves the Ashtar Command, and it was transmitted through a specific person.
Okay.
And it really offers a very distinct, almost external perspective on our world and where it might be heading.
It's definitely a fascinating document. Our mission here for this deep dive is really to unpack the key claims and the insights from this communication. We'll be exploring its unique viewpoint on global events, human evolution, and what it presents as the path to liberation. It's certainly compelling stuff just to consider such a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. You can expect us to journey through themes like planetary liberation from what the command calls dark forces. There are claims about cosmic intervention, the real significance they place on human free will.
Right.
And also a pretty compelling vision for Earth's future, all directly from the Ashtar Command's stated perspective.
Okay, so let's jump in. Who exactly is this Ashtar Command? The source describes them as, well, a group of beings. They're referred to, quite warmly actually, as our family.
Family.
Yeah. And they state they've been assisting humanity, throughout countless incarnations.
And what's particularly striking is their core mission. They state their main goal is to help with the complete liberation of this world from the clutches of darkness.
Complete liberation. That's ambitious.
It is. And they emphasize they've been actively engaged in operations in progress to achieve this. Working, as they put it, assiduously in all the backstages of your surface, which really implies, hidden behind-the-scenes work.
Right, like not out in the open.
Exactly. And even, they claim, among the elites, and that they've been doing this for decades.
Wow, decades of this quiet, persistent involvement. That suggests a serious, long-term kind of commitment.
Definitely.
And when we talk about these operations, the command makes some, truly monumental claims, like preventing huge global catastrophes. What exactly do they say about threats like, say, nuclear war?
They make a very definitive statement on that. They say, there is no chance of a nuclear outbreak that will annihilate the human race from Earth.
No chance at all.
That's what they claim. And it's not presented as just like a hopeful wish. It's framed as a decree that is widely spread throughout the galaxy.
A galactic decree.
Yeah. The source explains there are forces that you still do not comprehend. They're words that can apparently easily render any large-scale offensive totally inoperable. It suggests some kind of advanced cosmic tech or intervention way beyond what we currently grasp.
That is an extraordinary assertion, isn't it? Preventing global catastrophe on that kind of scale. And they even get quite specific, mentioning intensive operations in the Megiddo Valley. They said these would not last long. What exactly was supposed to be happening there, according to the command?
Well, they claim that many laboratories in that specific region were discontinued by our surface agents.
Surface agents. Human collaborators.
It seems like it, or perhaps beings operating on the surface. These agents, they say, acted under the action of our fleets, so with direct support from their ships, and they rendered inoperable traps that were being set for you, friends of Earth.
Traps. Wow. So it suggests a direct, almost physical intervention by their people and their fleets right here on Earth to dismantle a specific harmful operation.
Yeah, it paints a picture of a much more hands-on cosmic presence than maybe many people would imagine.
Definitely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the command seems to suggest that humanity is no longer looking at a truly catastrophic timeline. Is that right?
That's the implication. And they stress that maintaining what they call a symphony of love, collective positive consciousness, basically is crucial for this broad distancing from any catastrophic situation.
So it implies that our collective consciousness, our vibration, actually plays a critical role in, shifting our future away from disaster?
Exactly. A remarkable idea that our internal state can influence these massive planetary events.
Yeah, really is. And speaking of influence and shifts, their alliances. You mentioned something about surprising shifts there.
Yes, that's another really interesting part. The command reveals that 100 new allies have joined them recently.
100, okay.
And here's the really intriguing bit. These allies were, according to the text, previously servants of darkness.
Wait, really? Servants of darkness switching sides?
That's the claim. They apparently recognized the command's strength and surrendered operations of their bosses.
That's fascinating. This idea of, dark forces surrendering and joining the quote-unquote good guys.
Yeah.
It sort of challenges a purely black and white view of cosmic conflict, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests potential for, well, transformation maybe, and strategic shifts even within these large-scale conflicts.
So what more do they say about these new allies? Were they important strategically?
Well, what's notable is that the command states their protocols weren't actually critical. They say they're always steps ahead anyway.
Okay, so not essential for the mission's success.
Apparently not. But they say this recognition, this shift in allegiance itself was very important. It's also mentioned these new allies will have to bear the damages caused previously, but they are willing for a new beginning.
Interesting. So there's an element of accountability, maybe cosmic justice or rehabilitation involved there?
It seems that way, yeah. A process of accountability and a chance for a fresh start.
So with these cosmic alliances forming and shifting, the natural question is, how does the Ashtar Command interact with us, with humanity? Did they try to connect with leaders here on Earth?
They say they did. Back in the early 1990s, they apparently tried to contact many important people. And initially, some were willing to help.
Okay, so there was some potential connection there.
Yes, but unfortunately, according to the message, many of them eventually succumbed to the forces of darkness and deviated, which made, continuing that partnership unviable.
So human free will, maybe susceptibility to influence, got in the way?
That seems to be the implication, yeah. It highlights those ongoing challenges.
And because of that, the message says, what? That new people will take charge.
Exactly. It states that new ones will assume some important fronts in the future. And crucially, they advise listeners, not to expect any of the current known leaders to be the ones leading this change.
None of the current leaders.
None. They say not to expect them to be the ones who will take the lead in the decrees established for the total change of this beloved planet.
Wow. That suggests a really profound, maybe unprecedented shift in who's going to be steering the ship, so to speak, for Earth's future.
It really does make you wonder who will step forward, doesn't it?
Yeah. And in this kind of environment with immense change, shifting alliances, the command also warns about the dark forces still being active.
Yes, they warn about their persistent tactics.
Yeah.
They say these forces continue architecting and creating confusion, specifically by trying to pit one against the other.
Well, like divide and conquer.
Precisely. And also trying to separate true light from false light.
Yeah.
Their terms again, basically to disturb and confuse people on Earth.
Okay, that's a critical point for anyone trying to navigate, all the conflicting information out there. So how do they suggest we cut through this confusion? How do we discern truth from deception, according to them?
They offer some practical guidelines for discernment. First, they emphasize feeling the codes sent through their transmissions.
Feeling the codes, what does that mean exactly?
It implies something more intuitive, maybe an energetic kind of discernment, like an inner knowing, rather than just purely logical analysis. They mention feeling codes from their various sources, including the specific one in South America that transmitted this message.
Okay, so an inner feeling, an intuitive resonance. What else? Beyond that feeling.
They also advise listeners, to observe the conduct of people who claim to be transmitting messages. Look for behavioral and moral coherence.
So do their actions match their words? Walk the talk, essentially.
Exactly. And they stress that for what they call superior transmissions, a compatible vibration is required.
Compatible vibration?
Yeah, meaning that to really receive or resonate with deeper truths, your own energetic state, maybe your level of integrity, needs to be compatible with the message.
Interesting. So it's not just about the source, but also about the receiver's state.
Right. And ultimately, it seems to come down to the individual. Discernment, they say, is left to the heart of everyone through their own discernment to feel and judge. You're urged to have your truth in your heart based on your own feeling.
So trust your gut, trust your heart.
Pretty much. And this connects directly to a core value they keep emphasizing.
Yep.
Honoring free will.
Oh, right.
They really stress the message to never source anyone to follow the same truth with obligation, under the premise that you have the mission to save them. A genuine leader, they state, will always honor independent choices. No coercion.
That's a powerful point about respecting individual paths. So, okay, what does this all mean for us then? For humanity? The command paints a pretty bold vision for our future, right?
They certainly do. They assert that this is the time when you can finally regain your independence. Time to take charge of your own lives and truly be free.
Regain independence. And they say this independence is actually the greatest danger for the elites.
That's the claim, that humanity becoming truly sovereign and independent is what the controlling forces fear most.
Okay. And broadening that out, they talk about ascension.
Yes, they describe the ongoing ascension of this world and its inhabitants, and they say this is happening even if it's against the will of those dark forces.
So it's happening regardless.
That's the message. The command sees its role as friends and brothers from space. They're phrasing just to encourage humanity as it confronts its fears and moves towards this liberation.
That's a really profound statement about humanity's collective journey. They also suggest we're already feeling shifts, something about a rehearsal for a new era.
Yeah, they say, day by day you have been experiencing a rehearsal for a new era, feeling new and uplifting vibrations, apparently, that have elevated consciousness like never before.
Have you felt that sense of things changing, vibrations lifting?
Well, the message suggests many people are, perhaps without even realizing the source.
And looking ahead, they get pretty specific about visible changes coming soon.
They do. The command states that in the years that follow, or even in the coming months, you will witness more of our dynamic presences among you and significant changes on the surface of this planet.
Dynamic presences, meaning seeing them, seeing their ships, and significant changes on the surface. That sounds big.
It does sound big. They seem quite specific about the imminence of these visible changes.
And this is where their message really expands what you might imagine for your own life, right? They encourage you to visualize something quite galactic.
Yes, exactly. They encourage you to visualize a future where you literally fly through the galaxy, meet new races, and experience a life with true freedom, perfect health, consciousness, and joy.
Wow, flying through the galaxy.
And they assure the listener that this is not a mere utopia, but the pure truth.
That vision certainly expands our understanding of what potential futures could even look like, doesn't it? Way beyond just fixing problems on Earth.
It absolutely does. And they use a beautiful metaphor for this whole transition. They say that a blank book is being handed to you.
A blank book?
Yeah. And that you will be surprised with the graces you will receive for your dedication. It's a powerful image of co-creation, suggesting we are actively, writing this next chapter ourselves.
I like that metaphor. So, wrapping things up, what are the final key assurances from the Ashtar Command?
Well, first, they reiterate their message of constant love and support, calling it unconditional. They're here to help without reservation.
Okay, unconditional support. Yeah. That's comforting.
And they re-emphasize that assurance about global destruction. No weapon of evil will destroy you, they state, and the destruction of your world is completely out of the question.
Completely out of the question. That's definitive.
Very. While they acknowledge that rumors of war and punctual conflicts might still be seen, they say these will not extend beyond some borders. So localized conflicts, yes, but not global annihilation.
Okay. And there was a really surprising instruction about how to deal with adversaries, wasn't there? Something about not cursing them?
Yes, that was quite unusual. The command says, do not curse those who fight against you and plot for your evil. Instead, send love and light.
Send them love and light, even those actively working against you.
That's the instruction. And they followed up by saying they, the command, will personally take care of them and reroute them to their proper treatments.
Reroute them to their proper treatments. What do you think that implies about how they handle opposition?
Well, it suggests perhaps a system of cosmic justice or maybe rehabilitation rather than just punishment or destruction, rerouting to proper treatments. It sounds like a process of, re-education or maybe energetic realignment for those who've acted against this path of light.
It's certainly a different perspective on dealing with conflict, especially at that kind of scale.
It really is. Very different from typical human responses sometimes.
Definitely. And they also promise to keep us informed.
Yes, they promise to continue providing important information that will elucidate all ongoing events. The purpose being so you can be aware and ready when called to act even more emphatically.
Called to act, according to what?
According to what they describe as pre-incarnation agreements, which suggests roles or missions individuals might have actually chosen before coming into this lifetime.
Pre-incarnation agreements.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so a sense of purpose linked to these larger events.
That seems to be the idea. So the overall message is clear. The Ashtar Command is, in their words, hoisting the flag of freedom on Earth.
The flag of freedom.
And they state that no remnant of darkness will be able to take it away. They proclaim they are arriving as never before to greet you on the day of your rebirth.
A day of rebirth. That's quite a closing statement. And just to confirm, this entire message came through their source in South America.
That's what the document states, yes.
Yeah.
Their source in South America.
Whew. Well, that was quite the deep dive, wasn't it?
It certainly was. We've navigated the Ashtar Command's cosmic perspective on, well, humanity's liberation, their claims of external help, and the really vital role they place on personal discernment and free will in this whole profound transition.
It's definitely a lot to process. It offers a completely different lens, really, through which to view not just global events, but also our own personal journey. And, given that Ashtar Command message about a blank book being handed to humanity, it makes you wonder, what does it truly mean for you, the listener, to reclaim your independence and, well, write your own story?
Yeah.
Especially when you're navigating such diverse and profound claims about reality and the future. What responsibilities maybe come with that kind of freedom?
That's a great question to ponder.
Definitely something to think about until next time.